And I got it eventually. But it was an academic.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Again, it's now 6:30, so I think I'll call this meeting to order. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome all of you here tonight to the 2023 annual meeting of the League of Women Voters of Dearborn-Dearborn Heights. It's our first in-person annual meeting since 2019. And it's the first one that I've run in person since taking the presidency, so bear with me. And if I gloss over something that we have to get done tonight, please wave your hand around and let me know that I've done so. I'm going to try to stick to the script, but yeah. All right. So just a quick note, this meeting is being recorded and it'll be made available on our website. This is for purposes of minutes taking and also so that members who weren't able to join us can watch it later and see what we've done. And tonight, voting on business matters will be done by a show of hands, and we'll call for that at the appropriate times. And you'll also notice that there are some index cards and pens on the tables, so at the end of the meeting, we will ask for directions to the board, and you can write down your directions there or other suggestions that you want us to have. So at this time, I would like to invite Jerry Biggs up to the podium to open the meeting with the land acknowledgement.
Good evening. We begin our meeting by acknowledging we are gathered on the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the Anishinaabe peoples known as the Three Fires Confederacy, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi, and of the Wyandot people. The League of Women Voters Dearborn-Dearborn Heights recognizes historic indigenous communities, not only in southeast Michigan, but all who were forcibly removed from their homelands by the Treaty of Detroit in 1807. We further recognize the ongoing relationship of dependence upon and respect for all living beings of earth, sky, and water. In offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm indigenous sovereignty, history, and experience.
Thank you, Jerry. All right, I realized that I haven't actually introduced myself, and I think I know most of you already, but for our guests, I'm President Jennifer Oliver. And all right, before I go any further, I would also like to thank Jennifer Teller, who is in Massachusetts, but is still very much part of our board of directors, Mary Jo Durabaj and Alicia Mazurik for all of their work to organize this meeting and compile the meeting packet, and to everyone else, there were many people who contributed their time and labor toward this meeting. Chris Sullivan contributed the beautiful flowers, Barb Wallace and Karen Jones have been manning tables. Jerry has provided our raffle here. The beautiful cake in the back is courtesy of Alicia and Geraldine Bruno. So thank you all very much. And I'd also like to acknowledge our past presidents in attendance and invite you all to stand or at least wave your hand. Mary Jo Durabaj, Betsy Cushman, Fadwa Hammoud, Tony Trott, Chris Sullivan, and Carolyn Wu. Mary Bouget and Judy Carty were not able to join us tonight, so we wish them well. What? Oh my gosh, you were here. Oh, I'm so sorry, Judy. I was told that you might not be here. Okay. Oh, Judy is here. Hi, Judy. All right, thank you. Okay, and we also have a few public officials joining us tonight. In addition to our guest speaker, Michigan Chief Deputy Attorney General Fadwa Hammoud. We are joined by Dearborn City Council members Leslie Herrick and Mustafa Hammoud. Dearborn Heights City Council member, Dearborn Heights Treasurer Lisa Hicks Clayton. Dearborn City Council member and Dearborn City Charter Commissioner Laura Dutton. All right, now we can move to the business part of our meeting. Our bylaws stipulate that in odd-numbered years, we must accomplish the following at our annual meeting. Elect officers, directors, and members of the nominating committee. Adopt an adequate budget, and transact such other business as may properly come before us. Our bylaws also state that 15% of the membership as of January, or 14 members this year, must be in attendance to reach a quorum. So it looks like we've achieved that easily, and thank you all for attending and making that possible. Finally, our bylaws state that the minutes of the annual meeting must be approved by a minutes reading committee of at least 3 members. Secretary Geraldine Bruno will record the minutes and submit them to Elaine Boismere, Carmen Casaida Goudan, and Mary Jo Durabaj, who graciously agreed to serve on this committee. Thank you all. And once the minutes are approved, the committee will submit them to the board for approval at our September meeting, and they will be included in the 2024 annual meeting packet. The approved minutes from the 2022 meeting packet can be found on pages 2 to 6 of the meeting packet that you were emailed ahead of this meeting. Okay, so first I'd like to start with table flare electricity holds out. All right. First, I'd like to move to some proposed amendments to our local program. Now, in an odd-numbered year, we're not required to review our existing local positions for approval or amendment, but we met in March after reviewing the state's positions to review the local positions in light of the changing political climate. Following this meeting, the attendees submitted a list of changes to the local program which were approved by the board and have been forwarded to you and can be found on the back side of the yellow sheets of the little packets that are on your tables. These address some changes in wording and meaning to our positions on local public schools, Dearborn Heights Police Community Relations, transportation, and housing. So take a minute to look at that. And I will now call for a motion to amend our local program as indicated.
I move to amend our local program as indicated.
All right, thanks, Laura. In a second, Karen? Okay, thank you, Karen. And is there any discussion on the proposed changes? Okay, seeing none, at this time I will call for a vote. So all in favor of amending the local program as indicated, please raise your hand. Okay, you can put your hands down. Anyone opposed to these amendments? Okay, seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you. All right, next I would like to invite our treasurer, Colleen Kareka, to give her report.
I have a
Hi, I'm Colleen. If I have not met you, I know I recognize many people, but I also see some new faces. So hello and nice to meet you.
We can't hear.
You cannot hear? How's that? In the back? Okay, sorry. Hi, I'm Colleen. Nice to meet you if I have not previously met you. Okay, so I'm going to go over the statement of financial position and our budget performance for the past 11 months. So this is as of April 28th. So for our bank accounts, in our Dearborn Federal Savings Bank account, we had $11,648.84. In the PNC Education Fund, that was $5,437.61. And in our general fund, it was, also in PNC, $5,224.03. And so our total bank accounts, we had $22,310.48. And then for our budget performance, I'm going to just go over the outlying numbers, I guess, because most of it is in line with what we expected. But so for our revenue, our member dues income was lower than we had budgeted. We had budgeted $6,405, and our actual amount was $3,930. And then our member contribution income, we had budgeted $1,536, and we came in at right about $600. And for our non-member contribution income, we had budgeted $1,000, and we came in at $300 for our general fund. And then for our rent, in the April 28th report, it's reflected that that was not paid, but I paid that on April 22nd, so they had just not cashed the check yet. If you're looking at the financial statements, that is reflected in May. For our convention expenditure, we had $1,000 budgeted in the general fund. we had $400 actual paid at May end, so that's a little bit under. For networking, we had $750 budgeted, and we came in having spent $388. And then for our PMP, for the League of Michigan, we had paid half of that as reflected in the April report, but that was paid in full by the end of May. And so that's the general budget. For the education fund, this is good news. We had grants come in throughout the year, and so our budget of $384 was easily surpassed, and our actual amount of grant revenue was $1,562.50. For our member contribution income, we were right in line. We had $1,500 budgeted. We came in at $1,497.50, so that's really close. Same thing for our non-member contribution income. We had $1,500 budgeted, and we came in at $1,433.61. And then the area where we underperformed with the ed fund revenue was our non-member contribution income for Who's Who. We had $500 budgeted for that, and we came in at $200. And then for our phone, this is kind of a minor detail, but we had $50 budgeted in each account, so general and education fund, and we ended up spending a little over that. That's $56, I believe, for our actual, so we adjusted that in the budget, which Mona will go over. And then for Who's Who spending for the education fund, we had $1,000 budgeted for that, and we ended up spending $1,450. Okay, are there any questions on any of that? Or anything else that you see? Yes, Caroline.
Can we get a copy of that?
Oh yeah, it should be in the annual meeting packet.
Oh, it's in the packet?
Yes,
Okay.
it's in the packet.
No.
I might be the only one that printed out, so let me know if you have any other follow-up questions. You can send them via email or text me or stop by and stop me if you see me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Colleen, and thank you also to Jennifer Teller, who is our assistant treasurer. A financial peer review of the 2022-2023 fiscal year was completed earlier this year by Fadwa Hammoud and Alicia Mazurek, who found our records to be in good order. Thank you both for your service. At this time, I'd also like to acknowledge the fundraising work done by Marlene Kilby and Jennifer Teller, who have come up with creative ideas and made timely efforts to keep us well funded. Thank you both. This year, our budget committee was chaired by Fadwa Hammoud and included board members Colleen Kareka and Jennifer Teller and off-board member Larry Biggs. They all worked diligently to produce a balanced and feasible budget for the upcoming year. Fadwa, would you please walk us through that budget?
Thank you. Okay, can you hear me?
No.
Okay, testing. Is it off?
How about that? Okay, I hope it's much better.
I work for her.
Thank you. So my name is Fadwa Hammoud, and yes, I chaired the budget committee for this year. I want to thank Colleen Kareka, Jennifer Teller, Larry Biggs, and Alicia Mazurek. So those were the committee members for the budget committee, so thank you. So on your table, you will see the yellow and blue one. Okay, so if you flip to the blue, it's 2 pages, so but it's on one sheet. And this is the proposed budget. So as you can see here in like the item number 1 on the front page, it starts with all the revenues, and mainly it's from membership dues. So like you will see the total budget for the League of Women Voters Dearborn-Dearborn Heights chapter is $12,835. So it's very important to pay your dues because more, about half of that is from the membership dues. So you see about 6,000 is supporting, that budget from the membership dues. Pretty much, everything else you will see, it's generous contribution from, members and non-members, and you will see that. The annual meeting income, it's budgeted still here at 1,000, but this is usually a wash, so that's why wherever we collect today per member, like the 30,000, it's, we end up spending that. So that's why that's one item, it's kind of, you're gonna see it on the revenue and the expense side. If you look at the operations side, I mean, you will see we do support the League of Women Voters in Michigan and at the federal level. So that's what you will see here, the PMP. That's one of the major expenses. And then most of our services, I mean, done by volunteers. So that's why you don't see a lot of expenditure. The main items that we pay is the rent, the $980. You will see that in item number 2 under expenditure. The website, the $750. So from an operations, you will see those. And then, as I said, the membership, the annual meeting is a wash because wherever we collect, we're spending. And if you look at the next page, you will see some of the detail for the LWV Michigan and US for those per member, payments. So that's what you see PMP on the 4 and 5. So total expenditure, you will see in the first column here that we have a balanced budget of, so that's why you see the total expenditure of $12,835. The difference between this year's budget and last year's, I think, you heard Colleen, she said, I mean, we budgeted last year for the phone like, 100. So you will see this year we budgeted 120, it's just inflation, right? So the other thing is we account for how many members we have. So like the per member payment and the collection from members are based on 74 members plus 11 households. So hopefully we get more members and then this way we can get more incomes, but that's what the budget is based on. And then the other items is just from the budget is because we have some members attending the League of Women Voters conference. So it depends if it's a Michigan conference or federal conference, we adjust those accordingly. So that's why we have a budgeted for this year for the conference like about 1,500. So you see that in the convention workshop. So you see as the treasurer mentioned, that's why you have the 3 columns. So you have the overall budget and then you have the general fund and the education fund. So although like the education fund at the bottom, you will see it's negative 130, but we made sure that from the general fund, we covered that. So this way you can end up with a balanced budget. So that's my report. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mona. Okay, I will now entertain a motion to adopt the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2022-2023. And this will be a motion made by committee, so there won't be a second needed.
So I'll make the motion.
All right, so Mona has made the motion on behalf of the budget committee. And is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, at this time I will call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Great. All opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you very much. And thank you to Mona and the budget committee. Okay, another of the important tasks that we will undertake tonight is the election of new officers and directors. This year, our nominating committee was chaired by Tony Trant, with Kimberly Ismail and Connie Mitchell serving as off-board committee members, and Mary Jo Duraraj and Karen Jones serving as on-board members. Tony, I invite you now to present the committee's proposed slate of candidates, which can also be found on pages 13 and 14 of the packet that was emailed to you.
I too would like to thank the nominating committee for their effort, their time, and their commitment. It was my pleasure to be on that committee. In regard to the proposed slate, the nominating committee is pleased to nominate the following members to serve 2-year terms on the board of directors. Co-president Elisha Mazurek. Co-President, Jennifer Oliver. Secretary, Geraldine Brunel. Director, Jerry Biggs. Director, Connie Mitchell. And Director, Jennifer Teller. Nominees for the one-year term for the nominating committee are Chair Kimberly Ishmael, Member Virginia Pinto, Member Christine Sullivan Rathwell.
She'll get it right eventually.
All right, thank you, Tony. And let's see, are there any other nominations from the floor at this time? Okay, I have to ask 3 times, so do we have any other nominations? Okay, last call. Okay. All right, seeing and hearing none, I will now entertain a
Point of
motion.
order.
Yes.
Could those people stand up so we know who they are?
Oh, sure, yes. If you have been nominated, please stand up. So, hi, Nisha, Jerry, Geraldine, and I know we have a few members who are not here. Yeah, Kim is not here, Connie is not here, and Jennifer Teller is,
Kimberly is not here.
yeah, Jennifer Teller is out of state.
Can't even, yeah.
All right, I will now entertain a motion to elect the proposed slate by a single ballot.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the nominating committee, I move the election of the proposed slate by a single ballot.
All right, thank you. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, I will now take a vote. If you are voting in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, all opposed? All right, the motion carries. Thank you.
She emailed me earlier today, her husband's been in and out of the hospital, and she went and sent us her regards. Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Mary Jo. All right, we've approved our slate of candidates for the 2023-2025 term. Thank you, Tony, and the nominating committee, and congratulations to our newly elected officers and directors. Vice President Karen Jones, Treasurer Colleen Correca, Directors Laura Dudgeon and Betsy Cushman will remain on the board for another year. I'm grateful to all of you for your service, wisdom, and counsel. Director Erica Mara, who is not here tonight, will step down at the end of this fiscal year to focus on her current position as Special Events and Outreach Manager for the City of Dearborn. We will all miss Erica on the board, and we're glad that she'll remain an active league member. And before I move on, I want to acknowledge Elisha Mazurek, Jennifer Gabrish, and Marlene Kilby, who have served for the past year as appointed directors. Elisha has served as our legal counsel and as a volunteer on many projects. Before stepping back for personal reasons, Jennifer served as our voter service co-chair through the 2022 election season, and we look forward to working with her again. Marlene has continued to serve as our Allegria Village liaison and has observed and reported on the Dearborn City Charter Commission throughout the year. Thank you all for your service. Okay, and now we move to voter service. The Voter Service Committee has had a big job over the past year, which held a midterm election. The committee worked tirelessly to deliver information to voters on elections ranging from federal representatives to all levels of state government, several statewide ballot proposals, county elections, and local school boards. In addition, the team once again coordinated a successful youth voter registration project. I'd like to invite Betsy Cushman, Voter Service Chair, to speak briefly about the committee's work this year. Betsy's report can be found on pages 15 and 16 of the packet that was emailed.
Thank you, Jen. And I want to thank all of those who helped this year, because it really is the people like you that made a very positive difference in our communities. The need for nonpartisan information and activities has never been greater. Every year this is said, and every year it is true. It would be nice if it weren't. 2 weeks from now, absentee ballots for the Dearborn Heights primary election for City Council will be available. The League's online voter guide, vote411.org, will be published, and likely 500 copies of the paper voter guide will have been distributed. The top 6 vote getters will go on to run for the 3 positions on the November 7th general election. Vote 411 will be updated. Possibly a new voter guide, paper voter guide, will be created and distributed. And if we have the volunteers, we will hold a candidate forum. Voter service activities couldn't happen without the help of our members. Members helped create the candidate questions. Jennifer Teller and I gathered information for Vote 411 and created the print voter guide for the primary, which is going to be proofread soon. There is a need for additional people to learn how to do Vote 411 and to put together a printed voter guide. This is a great time to learn. If you enjoy computer work and politics, and if you're not partisan in your approach, that's not actively working for a campaign, please consider volunteering and let me know. Volunteers are needed not just for Vote 411 and candidate forums, but to help organize and develop plans for 2024, a major election year. Look what's ahead next year. A generational change, the biggest election changes in our lifetime, are just some of the ways the implementation of Proposal 2 of 2022 is being described. It is thrilling and wonderful for people who have worked so hard for these changes to see accessibility to voting become standardized for all. 9 days of early voting, in person. You can feed your ballot into the tabulator. 8 hours a day, beginning 2 Saturdays before the election and ending on the Sunday before the election. 9 days, minimum. What buildings will be used that are available for that many days? Will we have enough election workers? How many voters will vote in person through early voting instead of by absentee ballot? And early voting is just one of the changes. Members are needed to organize and discuss how we can inform ourselves and our communities of Dearborn and Dearborn Heights of their new voting rights. Please let me know if you are interested in learning more and possibly helping. I'm hoping to have a meeting soon to discuss possibilities. You are needed. There's a lot more to say, but I want to end by praising the amazing work of our high school voter registration leader and cheerleader, Laura Dudgeon. The future of our democracy is in the hands of these wonderful young people, and thanks to people like Laura, we are reaching hundreds of high school students to encourage and inform them about their important role in being an active voter. Again, thank you to all who helped, and please consider contacting me if you want to help in the future. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura Dudgeon, and I got the best job in the league. I'm with the high school voter registration. It's an ongoing process. Started with Betsy and Ishmael 2012, and we've kept it strong. We survived a pandemic, and the schools are coming back. I know we couldn't have, I just want to tell you just a little bit about what we're doing when we go into the schools. We've started a new process in the last couple of years where we're trying to engage, and we are engaging the students to do the presentations for their classmates. This year we had 26 students in 8 schools that did presentations for us. We also did it with the help of 7 people from Access and many of you here. And I would actually like to see all those that worked in the schools just stand up to let people know that how much you've given. This is what makes it a success. Thank you. Karen, you can stand up for Marie. Yeah, she's been a real a strong helper. So I do want to thank you. We could never have done it without you. We had also started this little priority exercise where we go into when we're in the classrooms, we ask the students what are issues. We ask them for 5 issues that are really important to them. And then we have everyone in the classroom vote on what they think are the most important issues that they're facing. And it's quite telling. Just last year, I'm going to tell you the top five. Last year it was gas prices, abortion, roads, racism, and education. Those were the top priorities that the students voted on. This year it was gun reform, abortion, climate and environment, inflation, and minimum wage. So we in Michigan have so much to be proud of with our young voters. We are #1 in the country with the voter turnout for the ages 18 to 25. And the country, the entire nation is increasing in, the biggest increase in the voters was in the young ones. So we are setting off good, and we also, we've been partners with Access on this since the beginning. This last year, we also took out a new partner, the state of Michigan, with the My Votes Matter. So we're incorporating a lot of different ideas, but really it's the people that are here that have done it, and I can't thank you enough. It's the greatest job ever.
Thank you, Betsy and Laura, and everyone on the Voter Services Committee. We do a lot of work at the League. We have advocacy and we have positions on a lot of different issues, but really voter service is it's foundational to what we do. And so I'm really glad that we were able to highlight some of the projects that we've done in the last year and will continue to do. Okay, we also work on communications, so under the communications umbrella, in addition to our newsletters, Mary Jo has maintained our website along with Jennifer Teller, Betsy has run our Facebook account, and Erica has monitored our Google Analytics. The communications report can be found on page 17 of the packet that was emailed to you. And I thank you all for your careful work. And especially Mary Jo, I would like to highlight the newsletters that she puts together twice a month. They are chock full of information. If they're not reading them, you should. They're a wonderful topic. And I also invite anyone who has Twitter and or Instagram skills and would like to donate them to the League to contact me or Alicia, because we will be happy to put you to work. We have active presence on Facebook. Colleen used to run our Instagram and Twitter accounts very effectively, but now she's donating her time to work as the treasurer. So yeah, please let me know if you're interested. All right, so Mary Jo, in addition to all of her work on communications, is also our membership chair. And she has worked tirelessly to welcome new members into our League, keep track of all of the existing members, and compile and send the newsletters. So as of the end of May, our League is 95 members strong. And I'm happy to report that we've welcomed several new members since our last annual meeting. And if you're here, feel free to wave or stand so we can all say hi. Jeanette Bartz, M. Christine Dobrovich, Laura Fabry Tucker, Ashley Gottfried Klum, Nancy Adadau Gray, Leslie Hendricks, Lisa Hicks Clayton, Sherry Lilly, Nadia Nasir, Ella Marlene Norman, Jeff Oliver, Marianne Fivula, Veronica J. Pinto, and Bill Tucker. Thank you. Our members live throughout Dearborn and Dearborn Heights, as well as in Inkster, several other southeastern Michigan communities, and even Massachusetts. So thank you, Mary Jo, for your service. I'd also like to recognize our very active contingent of members at Allegria Village in Dearborn, who work in their own community and beyond to educate voters and champion League positions. Barb Wallace assumed leadership of this group last year, and the members have provided educational and informational programming on our elections. Barb's report can be found on page 18 of the meeting packet, and I thank you all for your service. small observer corps continues to grow. Members of this group attend and observe, but don't participate in public meetings and report back to the league on what they learned during those meetings. This information helps us to stay aware of matters of interest in our communities and determine what, if any, action to take. In particular, Marlene Kilby's reports on the Dearborn City Charter Commission's meetings and Veronica Pinto's reports on the Dearborn Public Schools Board meetings have guided our decisions about submitting opinions to the commission and producing our censorship panel discussion. We hope to continue growing the Corps over the next year, so please reach out if you're interested in joining us. In the meantime, notes from current observers can be found in the members only section of the website, and please contact Mary Jo if you need instructions on how to access that section. Our Vice President, Karen Jones, has done an admirable job of leading our advocacy committee this year. We're especially proud of the work that the committee did to host a virtual panel discussion in January on understanding censorship issues, which was broadcast statewide with assistance from the League of Women Voters of Michigan. Karen's report can be found on page 19 of the packet. Thank you to everyone who has worked on advocacy projects this year, and please contact us if you are interested in working on this committee in the future because they have a lot planned for the next year. Karen, if you'd like to stand up. Thank you. All right, and next we have my report, and I'll keep my remarks brief as I've provided a comprehensive overview of our work throughout the past year, which can be found in pages 20 to 22 of the packet that was emailed. First, I want to thank all of our members for your support this year, which has continued to encourage me, and your dedication to community service has inspired me. I look forward to working with Alicia over the next term as we continue to serve you and grow our league. The pandemic had put a damper on things during the first year of my term. During the second year, I've enjoyed seeing many of you in person, some for the first time, during in-person meetings at Alegria Village in July, at Mona and Fadwa Hammoud's house in December, and at the Meet Your Elected Officials event that we held here in April. I note that at last year's annual meeting, I expressed the hope that we would hold this year's annual meeting in person. So let's give ourselves a round of applause for actually getting to it. As noted earlier, the last election year was very full. This year we have a bit of a respite. However, I'd like to remind the Dearborn Heights members here and watching the video to vote for your city council members in August and November. As always, we'll continue to provide online and print voter guides for this election. Remember that the first half of 2024 will not be quiet as the presidential primary season comes in full swing with early voting in Michigan for the first time ever, as Betsy explained. So please continue to watch for volunteer requests from our voter service committee and for election workers from local city clerks. This is an odd-numbered year, and that means it was a state convention year. Local leagues across Michigan met last month to vote on the proposed statewide program, the slate of officers and directors, and the budget for 2023 to 2025. We, as a local league, reviewed the state program in January and submitted our suggestions to the state board that were found to overlap with existing positions. Dearborn-Dearborn Heights was represented in Lansing last month by delegates Laura Dudgeon, Mary Jo Durvage, Marlene Kilby, Alicia Mazurek, Jan Wells, and me. In addition to the proposed program and budget, we voted to adopt the League of Grosse Points concurrence position, which will allow us to advocate more strongly for the role of Michigan's public libraries in supporting our First Amendment rights. Finally, the League of Women Voters' newly elected board of directors at the state level includes our own Connie Mitchell. We will continue to present member meetings throughout the year that will address some of the topics of interest identified during local program planning. So please watch our website and newsletters for more information on that. In summary, we'll have many opportunities to work together to serve our community. I encourage all of you to stay involved or get involved. Thank you. And now, I am delighted to introduce our guest speaker, Fadwa Hammoud, Chief Deputy Attorney General of the State of Michigan. She is a proud graduate of Fordson High School and Wayne State University, and many of us first met her when she was a member of our local league from 2016 to 2019. I personally had the privilege of working with the Chief Deputy on a voter service project and was inspired by her intelligence, enthusiasm, and tirelessness. At the time, she was a Wayne County prosecutor and mother of 2 small children. In 2019, she was appointed by newly elected Attorney General Dana Nessel to serve as the Solicitor General of Michigan, an historic appointment as the first ever Arab American Solicitor General in the U.S. In 2021, she became the first ever Arab American woman to argue a case before the U.S. Supreme Court, and she continues to break barriers in service of our community, state, and country. At this time, I will hand over the microphone to Chief Deputy Hammoud.
Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening. And so good to be home. I think I first actually met Jennifer at Betsy's house. We were sitting on the couch, we're working on some packets. And I also was one of the volunteers, Laura, and I am so proud of the work that you're doing in the high schools, and so proud to be a Michigander. And our legislature, let me tell you, it is a good time to be here in Michigan. I have here with me our Chief of Investigations, Aubrey Sargent. He's our agent in charge, and he was asking me about the league because he knew I was very excited to be here. And I told him he works for the state, and he's surrounded by a whole bunch of chicks in charge, and this would be just that. So it will feel like home. And I also feel at home because I think everybody knows the Hammouds are big fans of the league. So, and actually no relation. But it's so good to see some familiar faces, all of you. You know, I see Betsy, who was really my mentor here at the league, and I see Elaine, who I just, every single one of you, Mary Jo, have all been really paving the way for a very long time. And under Jennifer's leadership, I am so very excited, and Alicia, congratulations as well, but I am so very excited for your leadership. So congratulations to the newly elected board members, and I am so proud to live in a city as a Dearborn resident where we have you on the front lines. So it really is an honor to be here in community with some of the best servant leaders that the state has to offer. This organization has roots in some of the greatest civic triumphs of our time. Everything from voting rights, civil rights, and especially the empowerment of women. And of course, we appreciate our men allies in this very long fight. And we still have some ways to go, we're not done yet. The value of the work that you have done and continue to do to the people of the state cannot be overstated. I see the impacts of that work and the benefit it provides to our communities every day as a resident and also as Michigan's Chief Deputy Attorney General. And in today's climate, your work is all the more important. Over the past few years, we've seen increased extremism, increased spread of misinformation and disinformation, and increased threats of political violence. We must continue to face these problems head-on in the same way this organization has for decades, through education, advocacy, and community engagement. Take, for example, the attempts of voter suppression during the 2020 election. I'm sure most, if not all of you, are aware of the claims of widespread and systemic voter fraud. That hundreds of thousands of illegal votes were cast. That ballots were counted twice. That voting systems had been hacked to change votes. That more votes had been cast in Detroit than people who live there, just to name a few. The Department of Attorney General has handled approximately 42 elections cases advancing these sorts of conspiracy-based election fraud and election mishandling claims. Not to mention the sending of the false slate of electors, which Aubrey is actually leading the investigation on, and our office is currently investigating, so stay tuned on that. Yes. That's 42 official, actually, cases filed to discredit the election. And thanks in part to your endeavors, we have prevailed in each and every single one in court. Your work in ensuring the elections ran smoothly, from assisting high school students in the registration process, to volunteering as election workers, to observing meetings of public agencies like the Board of Canvassers and everything in between, contributed to each of these successes. It's not an exaggeration to say that our office has seen a dramatic uptick in this sort of election-related litigation. As this occurs, efforts to preserve the process and integrity of our elections become even more invaluable, not only to the Department of Attorney General, but to each and every single person in the state. The value of your ongoing efforts, including through advocacy and other activities in support of petitions like Promote the Vote, is immeasurable. In addition to these lawsuits and other well-publicized examples of attempts at voter suppression based on claims that the election process was flawed throughout the 2020 election cycle, another, less blatant form of voter suppression was afoot. Robocalls. Have you heard of that? Prior to the election, robocalls targeted minority voters in the Detroit area, attempting to dissuade them from voting by mail. The callers would falsely warn voters that voting by mail would result in their personal information becoming part of a public database used by law enforcement officers for credit card collection and for mandatory vaccination. The Attorney General warned the public about the calls and initiated an investigation. The investigation revealed that two conservative political operatives, and I can tell you their names, it's an ongoing case, it's filed in court, it's public, Jacob Wohl and Jake Berkman, allegedly created and funded the robocalls totaling 85,000 calls nationwide, including Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania, Illinois, and Ohio, and nearly 12,000 in the 313 area code, to deter voters, or specifically voters of color, from exercising their right to vote. Ultimately, we charged Wohl and Berkman with four felonies each in connection with these robocalls. And those charges are ongoing. On election day, robocalls also targeted areas like Flint. Flint residents received calls, falsely claiming that the voters should vote the next day. In other words, after the election is over, due to long lines. Criminal investigations and, where warranted, criminal charges are of course crucial to addressing voter suppression activities like these robocalls. They both punish conduct that has already occurred and deter, hopefully, future similar conduct. And our office does not hesitate to pursue individuals whose misconduct jeopardizes the exercise of the right to vote. But the criminal justice system has its limits. And when it comes to activities like voter suppression efforts, it cannot be adequately addressed other than by one essential piece: education, which is what you do here and why your work is so important. Engaging in educational efforts prior to any misconduct is necessary to allow the public to avoid falling for any scams at the outset and to let them recognize, disregard, and report any misinformation and disinformation shared. The education you have provided and continue to provide to voters really does just that. And it is so critical for the continued functioning of our democracy. Because it is not an understatement that democracy is on the line when it comes to these efforts. For example, your efforts for the Vote 411 project and the distribution of voter guides and other information to voters have been instrumental in assisting citizens navigate what can be a very confusing process. You've provided a trusted clearinghouse of necessary information and assistance where citizens can go to have their questions answered about when, where, how to vote, amongst many things. They know they can trust the league, and credibility is so important. Along, of course, with the candidate forums that you provide. In this way, we ensure that citizens understand the voting process and guarantee that those elected are representatives of our communities and their interests. I applaud this work and urge you to continue your efforts as we prepare, as has been said by many speakers before me, for upcoming elections. That said, I also recognize, and I'm unfortunately keenly aware of the threats election workers, organizations, and clerks may face in doing this work. With increased extremism, polarization we have experienced in our state, combined with access to technology, threats of political violence are on the rise. Fortunately, Michigan is uniquely situated in its ability to address such threats. Our office has launched a first-of-its-kind statewide hate crimes and domestic terrorism unit, which allows us to investigate and prosecute crimes which include crimes of political violence. And I know that our agents and our assistant attorney generals have also done training across the state for clerks and organizations, so if you ever need that, we are more than willing to partner up because there's a lot of things we can partner up on. And our clerks, our public officials are receiving political threats in whether it's by the use of technology or even face-to-face. People, to be sure, have a First Amendment right to express their views. But not all speech is protected under this right. Threats of violence are an unprotected category of speech that will not be tolerated and will be prosecuted. Our office is committed to ensuring that individuals like yourself feel safe and supported whenever you volunteer your valuable time to contribute to the informed and active participation of citizens in this government. And on a much better note, last November, Michiganders turned out in record numbers and voted in a bipartisan manner to amend our state constitution, expand election laws, and secure every citizen's voting rights. And since then, we have been working with our state legislature, our Secretary of State, as well as clerks across the state to ensure that the amendment is enacted in a way that maintains the fairness, accuracy, and security that makes Michigan's election system one of the strongest in the nation. Woo! The bills give every Michigan voter, the right to return their absentee ballot, and I know Betsy alluded to that, to a secure drop box by mail with prepaid postage or use of an early voting site. Just yesterday, both chambers in Lansing approved a package of bills that expand voting rights based on the will of over 60% of Michigan voters when they voted for Proposal 2. And the bills are being called a generational change in voting. The most significant change would require at least 9 days of early voting access across Michigan. It will also allow clerks to work together to provide sites where ballots could be filled out and fed into tabulators before Election Day. So technically, clerks could begin providing early voting within 29 days of the election. The bills are soon to be headed to Governor Whitmer, who is expected to sign them into law very soon. So, chicks in charge, getting it done. The League has developed from its roots as a mighty political experiment during the women's suffrage movement into a century-old national powerhouse that ensures that each and every American, regardless of their background, has a voice in our government. The education you provide, the activities in which you engage, and the public policies for which you advocate all have a direct impact on the lives of the people in our community. My children, who, by the way, learned to ride their bikes right here in the church's parking lot. I am so proud to have been a member of the League of Women Voters, and I am honored, so very honored, to continue to work alongside you in our effort to continually improve our democracy. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Fadwa.
Thank you. My daughter's gonna love this. So. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fadwa. It was a real privilege to have you with us here tonight, and now I have to follow that. But yeah, it was very informative, ended with some good news, and I can't wait to see what you do next. All right, as we're wrapping up this meeting, I have a couple of special acknowledgements. First, at last month's state convention, we had the opportunity to recognize 4 of our members for their service to our local league over the last 2 years. And at this time, I'd like to invite them to come up and receive their Bell Ringer Awards. Veronica Pinto, for advocacy, for your careful observer work at the Dearborn School Board meetings. Mona Hammoud, for finances and fundraising, for leading our financial review process and budget planning. Jill Perryman, for membership, for ensuring that New Allegria Village residents are informed about the league. And Barb Wallace, voter service, for your work as moderator of candidate forums and community speaker on Promote the Vote 2022. Thank you all for your service.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Congratulations.
All right. Second, Betsy Cushman was awarded the League of Women Voters of Michigan's Belle Brotherton Award, which honors an individual whose outstanding leadership and significant accomplishments have benefited the citizens of Michigan, inspired others, and fostered greater public participation in the democratic process. This award is very well deserved, and I'm thrilled to celebrate it with Betsy. Please give her a round of applause. Okay, at this time, I invite any of our members who submitted reports for this meeting but have not spoken yet to give clarification on their reports if it's needed. Okay, everyone's reports are as they stand. Oh, Karen. Yes.
Oh, before we do that, okay. Oh, I wasn't sure what you were gonna be doing. No, I just wanna, make sure that people know, and hopefully visit, the table over there. We, have a lot of information there. There's some who's if you wanna take a pack and deliver it somewhere. There are also really, hot off the press, 5 fact sheets on some of the, ways that, Prop 2 will, be carried out, be implemented by, Promote the Vote. And they're also on our website, but they're just hot off the press. And some free bumper stickers and cards and things like that. So please visit it. We also have some sashes that some members at Allegria Village made, for our 100th anniversary, but we're gonna reuse them, of this, what the suffragists would have worn. And we have them at a very low price of $5. So anyway, just, if you, wanna visit before you leave, thank you.
Thanks, Mary Jo.
How about directions to the board?
Oh, yes, do we have any directions to the board?
Yeah, we look. The cards?
Yes, if you'd like to submit a visit card, you can bring them up at the end of the meeting, thank you. Okay, got two last announcements before I let you, actually, Mary Jo took care of the first announcement, thank you.
Oh, sorry.
And my last announcement is, don't forget to renew your membership if you haven't done so already. This can be done on the website or by mail using the form that was included with your meeting packet. And thank you to everyone who's already renewed for the next year. And with that, the 2023 annual meeting is adjourned. Wait.
One more thing.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Before that, also, I don't know where our servers are, but, there's a lot of food left over, so we were gonna ask them to transfer them into, other containers so people can go back there and take some food home if you want. And I'm not sure where they are though, so if it means anything to you, you can hang around and wait for them to come back. You know what I mean? We'll put stuff here.
Here they are.
Yeah.
Here they are.
Yeah. So it'll be on the counter in the kitchen, but it'll be a few minutes.
If you want, I have no problem if you want to just do it out here and then go.
Just do it out here.
Okay, well, let me get some plates and aluminum foil. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, before we do any of that, on behalf of our entire board, we'd like to present this to our president on behalf of the entire league for the tireless work that she has done. She has led us through one of the most difficult times in this league. We survived during COVID. We had our Zoom meetings. She gave us approval and worked hard with us for our Zoom advocacy meetings. This woman is a dynamo. I will follow her lead.
Thank you all so much. It has been an absolute privilege to be your president for the last 2 years, and I look forward to the next 2. Okay, and with that, the 2023 annual meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Did everybody get a ticket?
Yeah, Jerry, if you would.
What's that right?
What do you want to do? Turn this over to Jerry now for the rest.
Make sure everybody got a ticket. If you didn't, I'll give you a ticket. All right, I'm going to draw for the Vanderbilt here. I didn't put my name in, so it's not going to be prejudicial. I'm just not going to, I'm going to go through here. Number 70.
Here you go.
Did you get it? I never went again. Wow.
It's already called a number. Well, I think she's calling some other.
Thank you.